world that often rushes and forgets to breathe, there are still places where time moves slowly, where creativity whispers rather than screams. Welcome to TERAFLORA Studio. Here, we don't build with perfection. We build with memories, with meaning, and with beautiful things that most people pass by. Old jar, chair broken, drawers without cupboards, spoon with bent handle. For us, this is the beginning, not the end. And in this special video, we'll gently guide you through 21 unusual garden DIYs, all made from discarded or forgotten items. This design is not only soulful and calming, but also real. DIY that you can try with what you already have at home. Simple, invisibility, and made with your own two hands. Each creation carries its own rhythm. Some will shine in the twilight. Others will chime softly in the wind. They will bring a touch of peace, story, and magic to your garden. So if you find calm in these moments, if something here stirs your imagination, we warmly invite you to subscribe to TERAFLORA Studio. Not out of habit, but out of shared passion. A love of handmade beauty and a slower, gentler life. Now, let's start, step by step, object by object, until something ordinary becomes something extraordinary. In a garden warmed by golden light and memories of things once cherished, a drawer once tossed aside breathes again. This time, as a mosaic planter. Its edges may be worn, its wood may be softened by time, but now it cradles life and color, transforming forgotten fragments into something quietly extraordinary. Start with a drawer, any drawer. Maybe it came from a cabinet long gone, or perhaps it waited patiently in a corner of your garage. Too old to use, but too sturdy to throw away. That's where the story begins. Clean it, sand it if you wish, or let it wear its history with pride. Now gather your shards, pieces of porcelain, broken plates, forgotten tiles. Look not for perfection, but for story. A floral print from a teacup, the blue of Delftware, the rim of a chipped bowl. Lay each one carefully along the drawer's front or sides, imagining how they might catch sunlight and memory alike. Use tile adhesive or strong craft glue, and don't rush the process. Each piece is a brushstroke, each crack, a line in the poem. Grout fills the space between, not just physically but emotionally too. It holds the fragments together, much like we hold onto the beautiful parts of things that break. Wipe clean, let dry, and admire your work. There's beauty in every imperfection. Line the inside of your drawer with plastic or a recycled grow bag to protect the wood. Add well-draining soil and choose plants that thrive in containers, succulents, aloe, or hardy herbs like rosemary and thyme. Their green textures pop against the mosaic, like a garden painting come to life. Place your planter where it can catch the sun. A porch corner, an old bench, a spot near the kitchen door. As it warms in the morning light and cools with the evening air, it becomes more than a planter. It becomes a quiet testament to renewal, to art made from loss, to life that blooms despite cracks. And when friends ask about it, you won't just say, "I made it." You'll say, "These were pieces that mattered, once broken, now growing." In a corner of the garden where bees hum and sunlight lingers, tall and silent sculptures rise. Not from marble, but from bowls, plates, and forgotten kitchenware. These are the bloom totems, stories stacked in color and form, born not from grand designs, but from small, everyday things that once served the table and now serve the earth. Begin with a rod steel, copper, or even a strong wooden dowel. Anchor it into the soil like a spine. Then, look to your cupboards, your thrifted treasures, the back of your kitchen shelves. Gather the lonely salad bowl, the chipped teacup, the colander too rusted to rinse. Each one a verse in your garden's quiet poem. Thread them one by one. A large plate forms a base. A shallow dish offers space for herbs. A tea saucer becomes a perch for a passing sparrow. Between layers, add soil, just enough to cradle a thyme root or a trailing sedum. Let plants spill softly over the edges, cascading down like green waterfalls. Ivy loves to climb down. Mint loves to surprise. Tiny pansies peek out, faces turned toward the morning. Some towers stay grounded, regal among marigolds. Others float, suspended from pergolas or tree limbs, filled with moss and air plants, catching the breeze and scenting the garden air with lavender. You can weave string lights between the levels or let them glow naturally, kissed by dew and sunlight. These structures need no symmetry. In fact, a testament to reuse, to imagination, to vertical dreams. What you build is not just practical. It is emotional architecture, a tower of memories and possibility, a bloom totem that whispers upward. Things don't have to match to belong. They don't need to be perfect to be loved. Place your creation where it catches both sun and conversation. Let it change with the seasons. And when people ask how you made it, just smile. Because really, you didn't build a garden tower. You told a story that grew toward the sky. Sometimes, the most royal thrones are not gilded in gold or carved from fine stone. They're worn, weathered, and found on the roadside with a seat broken and paint chipped from years in the sun. But in the quiet of a garden, even such a chair can become something magnificent, can bloom. The idea is simple. Take a chair no one wants and give it a second chance. This time, not to hold a person, but to cradle life. Start with any old chair. Wooden or metal, ornate or plain, it doesn't matter. What matters is that it speaks to you, that it has just enough history to hold a story. Remove the seat panel, leaving the frame intact. If the chair is fragile, reinforce it with screws or brackets. If it's strong, leave the character as it is. Peeling paint, rusty scrolls, dents from years of use. Then place a wire basket or recycled colander where the seat once was. Line it with a cocoa fiber liner, burlap, or even a mesh-produced bag. Fill it with rich, well-draining soil, and choose plants that spill and sing. Trailing ivy, red petunias, purple pansies, or marigolds that smile at every sunbeam. Position your throne somewhere unexpected. A forgotten nook, beside a path, or under a climbing rose. Let it anchor the space, not as decor but as a quiet landmark. A signal that this garden holds stories. Over time, the flowers will soften its edges. Leaves will brush against old arms. Vines will curl around spindles. And the chair will seem less like furniture and more like part of the earth itself. It will grow into its new role, not ruler of a room, but guardian of color and life. There's something poetic in that, in knowing that even what was once discarded can rise again, not in the same way, but in a better one. More grounded, more giving, more beautiful for having been broken. So next time you see a chair waiting for trash day, pause, envision it in bloom, and then, if your hands and heart are willing, carry it home. Let it bloom not just with flowers, but with meaning. In a garden where sunlight drips through leaves like golden syrup, there's something quiet and miraculous that happens when you invite light to play, not just through blooms or shadow, but through reflection. This is the charm of mirror-like garden echoes. Old mirrors, CDs, and bits of glass reborn as instruments of sun and memory. It begins with something forgotten, a cracked mirror tucked behind a closet door, a stack of old CDs from a life that's gone digital, even a broken compact, its edges dulled but still glinting in the light. These are the pieces we no longer use, but they still carry magic. Rest an old mirror against a garden wall or lean it inside a raised bed. Suddenly, the space doubles. Flowers seem to bloom twice, vines stretch further, and the eye lingers just a bit longer. This illusion makes your garden feel more alive, more whimsical, like a portal where time might pause if you stare long enough. Take your CDs and string them from tree branches using fishing line or twine. Hang them at different lengths so when the wind moves, they spin gently like metallic leaves. With every breeze, they scatter rainbows across your plants, dappling leaves with tiny bursts of color. Simple, magical, and entirely free. Or, if you have patience, create a mosaic. Break an old mirror carefully, wrap it in a towel and tap lightly. Then glue the fragments onto a wooden board, clay pot, or fence panel. Grout in between, wipe clean, and suddenly you've made a constellation. A galaxy of shimmer stitched into your garden wall. reflective art isn't just what it shows, but what it suggests. That even broken things can shine. That what once framed a face or played a song can now whisper to the leaves and laughter of your outdoor world. Place your creations where morning sun can reach them or where golden hour slips in before dusk. Let the light bounce, scatter, dance, and let your garden become more than green. It becomes memory, mirror, and magic. Because in this quiet celebration of reuse, it's not just glass that reflects. It's you, your hands, your vision, your willingness to see beauty where others see waste. As evening tiptoes into the garden and the last sunbeams fade into indigo, something gentle begins to stir. Small, flickering lights blink to life, not from electricity or wires, but from jars once forgotten on pantry shelves or flea market corners. These are glow-keeper bottles, vessels of quiet wonder powered by the sun and lit by your imagination. The beauty lies in their simplicity. You don't need much. A handful of mason jars or glass containers, solar puck lights or strands of fairy LEDs, and a little time with your hands and heart. Begin by choosing jars that speak to you. Some might be tall and slender, others short with rounded edges. Their glass may be tinted, rippled, or perfectly clear. Wash them gently and let them dry in the sun, because tomorrow they will hold that light within them. Drop a small solar puck light inside, or wrap a mini solar fairy string around pebbles, moss, or glass beads. Let your creativity dance. Perhaps you line the bottom with dried lavender, or tuck in tiny pine cones for texture. Each jar becomes its own little universe, still by day, glowing by night. Place them wherever your garden breathes deepest. Along the stepping path where you walk barefoot at dusk, hanging from a tree limb where breezes hum lullabies, or clustered beside the porch like a gathering of fireflies waiting to tell stories. No wires, no fuss, just sun by day and soul by night. To hang them, use reclaimed wire or rusted twine. Wrap the neck of the jar snugly and twist it into a loop. Hang at varying heights to create rhythm, or simply let them rest on surfaces. Stone steps, fence posts, wooden tables, anywhere the light can shimmer. These glow-keeper jars don't demand attention. They whisper, they guide, they invite. They remind you that light doesn't have to be loud to be beautiful. And best of all, they're made from what's already around you. A jar, a bit of light, a dream of twilight magic. You've taken something ordinary and turned it into a small beacon of calm. In a world that often rushes past, your garden now glows with patience, with quiet effort, and with the kind of light that doesn't blind but soothes. In a quiet garden corner, where sunlight spills softly across the earth and birds rustle behind the leaves, something small yet radiant catches the eye. A baking tray, reborn. Its metal once blackened by years of cookies and bread now shimmers with the color of broken plates and porcelain dreams. This is a patchwork bloom tray, part planter, part mosaic, part whispered story. You don't need anything fancy, just a tray, a worn oven pan, an old wooden serving board, or even a shallow crate from the flea market. The kind of thing most would toss aside. But not you. You see potential. You see a stage where roots will take hold and beauty will bloom from scraps. First, line the inside of your tray with a plastic layer or landscape fabric if it's wood or rust-prone. Add a layer of gravel for drainage. Then fill it with rich potting soil. Let your fingers press gently into the earth. Choose your plants like characters in a story. Low-growing sedum, jade, hens and chicks, or thyme that creeps with fragrant confidence. Then the magic. Gather your mosaic pieces. A teacup from a flea market, a broken tile from the old kitchen, the floral rim of a chipped saucer. Crack them gently, always with care, and begin to piece them around the rim of your tray like puzzle shards that don't quite fit but still belong. Glue them into place, then fill the gaps with grout, pressing it in like sealing a poem. Wipe gently, let it dry. The tray begins to shine, not with symmetry, but with soul. Place your patchwork bloom tray wherever quiet light lives. On the edge of a step, beside the porch at the foot of a bench. As the plants stretch slowly upward and the mosaic glows under sunlight or dew, something settles inside you too. A kind of calm, a kind of satisfaction. Because this is more than a craft. It's a revival, a memory keeper, a bloom born not of perfection but of vision. Next time you find a tray headed for the bin, stop. Imagine soil, color, and fragments becoming one. Imagine a patch of green framed in story, and build it piece by piece with your hands and heart. Some music doesn't need an instrument. It lives in the light clink of memory, in the hush of wind touching metal worn by meals long past. In a corner of the garden, under lavender skies and the soft hum of bees, a wind chime made of silverware begins its quiet song. It doesn't dazzle, it remembers. You don't need a music degree to make this. Just time-worn spoons, bent forks, even a butter knife with a story in its scratches. Gather them from forgotten drawers, thrifted boxes, or family kitchens that echo with laughter long gone. For the top, use a piece of driftwood, an old wooden hanger, or even a wire coat rack. Something simple, something weathered. Drill small holes along its edge or knot string at measured intervals. Then, attach your silverware one at a time with fishing line, natural twine, or even clear nylon thread. Vary the lengths. Let them move. The first time wind passes through, they won't ring like bells. They'll chime like nostalgia. Soft, unpredictable, real. Not polished, but honest. Each spoon carries a fingerprint of time. Each fork once helped serve a dish, a moment, a memory. Place your chime somewhere still enough to listen, yet open to the breeze. A pergola corner, beside your herb patch, or above your favorite bench. Let it hum in morning light, clink in the dusk, catch moonlight in quiet hours. You'll start to notice how it changes day to day, just like memories do. You can customize it endlessly. Add beads from a broken necklace between utensils. Paint the wooden top in soft pastels or leave it bare and aged. Stamp names or dates onto the handles with a metal punch or leave them plain. The beauty isn't in the design. It's in the life it reflects. This isn't just a wind chime. It's a conversation piece, a heart-stringed melody of quiet days and gathered things. A tribute to the ordinary turned extraordinary. And when someone hears it and asks, "Where did you get that sound?" you'll smile and answer, "I made it from what once fed us, because in this garden even forks sing." In the hush of twilight, where the air holds its breath between daylight and dreams, something quietly magical happens in the garden. A small lantern flickers, not with fire, but with a soft solar glow. Inside, a delicate teacup sits patiently, filled not with tea, but with seeds. A sparrow lands gently, wings brushing against the metal, as if greeting an old friend. This is no ordinary feeder, it's a porcelain glow feeder, a handmade haven of light, nourishment, and poetry. Creating one begins with rediscovery. Find an old lantern, rusted, worn, even broken, the kind forgotten in a garage corner or offered for pennies at a flea market. Let it keep its age. That patina is part of the story. Next, choose a teacup, something floral, elegant, even chipped. Maybe one you once loved, now cracked but still beautiful. Fit the teacup snugly into the lantern center. If it doesn't rest on its own, support it with small pebbles or wire, gently securing it in place. Fill it with birdseed, black sunflower seeds, millet, whatever your garden guests love best. And for the glow, a simple solar puck light, one you can find at any dollar store or reuse from an old garden light. Place it beneath or beside the cup, depending on your lantern's design. When night falls, the feeder will softly light up, like a lighthouse for wings. Hang your glow feeder from a shepherd's hook, a curved tree branch, or beneath a pergola beam. Place it near lavender or rosemary. The scent will draw bees by day and peace by night. Birds will come, curious at first, then loyal. They'll hop inside, flutter out, and and return again as the glow grows familiar. This project doesn't ask much, no nails, no drill, no expense. Just things you already have. And the willingness to believe that even rusted lanterns and orphan teacups still have work to do, still have beauty to give. As night deepens and the garden hushes into shadow, the lantern doesn't disappear. It glows gently, a light for the birds, a light for you, proof that what we create from almost nothing can feed more than hunger, can feed the heart. There is a sound the earth remembers, a rhythm that hums through soil and stone. Not thunder, not song, but something gentler. The soft, steady whisper of rain as it drips from rusted tin and porcelain. In this garden, water doesn't just fall. It dances, tells stories. It becomes poetry, channeled through objects that once knew other lives. Welcome to the world of rain chains and water features, where rust, gravity, and imagination compose a quiet symphony. Begin with the idea that water doesn't need to be controlled. It only needs to be invited. A rain chain is exactly that, an invitation. Start with anything that holds. Old kitchen funnels, vintage ladles, tarnished teacups, even small flower pots. Link them vertically using chain, sturdy twine, or bent wire hangers. Let them hang from the edge of a roof or a high beam, anywhere rain finds its way down. As each droplet falls, it moves from vessel to vessel, turning metal into melody. On a quiet afternoon, it's not just functional, it's therapeutic. And when the sun peeks back out, the chain gleams with tiny droplets, catching light like a string of trembling pearls. For something more grounded, try building a water feature from a stack of old colanders or enamel bowls. Nest them inside each other, tilted slightly. Add a solar-powered pump and let water trickle downward, bouncing over tiny holes, feeding moss and joy. Place it in a shady corner, surrounded by smooth stones and shade-loving plants like ferns or hosta. The materials are humble, the effect, pure enchantment. These aren't grand fountains or engineered fixtures. They're patchwork memories. Bits of old kitchens, broken teapots, dented camping gear, all repurposed into sources of calm. You don't need plumbing. You don't need perfection. Just gravity, rain, and love for forgotten things. Add accents if you like. A bucket with moss, a few marigolds, a frog statue watching over the drip. This is art that sings when the sky does. And when the rain comes again, softly or sudden, you'll listen differently. You'll wait not for silence, but for the first drop to fall, and for your garden to whisper back. There's something otherworldly about the way a mirror catches a garden. It doesn't just reflect, it expands. It folds light back onto the leaves, doubles every bloom, and whispers a soft trick of space and time. In the quiet corners of your backyard, a mirror becomes more than decor. It becomes a doorway, an echo of what's real and what's imagined. You won't need perfection here. In fact, the charm lives in the worn edges. Find a discarded frame, an old window pane, a vintage mirror with speckled glass, or a dresser piece long separated from its body. Clean it gently. Don't erase its age. Let the nicks and chips tell their own soft story. If the mirror is whole, all the better. But even a cracked or partially mirrored surface can lend an ethereal beauty. You can hang it directly onto a wooden fence using outdoor hooks, or lean it casually against a wall behind a cluster of ferns. The placement matters. You want it where sunlight dips and dances, where plants sway and pass their image through. The illusion it creates is subtle but moving. A patch of lavender seems to stretch further. The path feels longer. A flower reflected back feels like an invitation to stay a little longer. You can frame the mirror with vines, ivy, creeping jenny, or sweet pea, or let moss quietly climb its lower edge. Over time, nature will soften it. The boundary between reflection and reality will blur. If you're working with a frame and no glass, consider fitting it with mirrored acrylic sheets, lightweight and weather safe. Or leave it open. Let it frame the view like a painting, capturing whatever grows beyond as if it were meant to be art. These pieces don't scream for attention. They shimmer, they linger, they change the way your garden feels without adding a single petal. And perhaps most beautiful of all, they turn something forgotten into something that makes you look twice. Because every mirror in a garden is a portal, not to somewhere else, but to a new way of seeing what's already here. A reflection not of yourself, but of how your hands and hope have shaped the world around you. In a quiet patch of garden where the clover grows thick and the breeze tells stories only the flowers understand, something magical sprouts. Not from soil, but from memory. Upside-down teacups, painted or plain, rise gently on stakes like a field of toadstools. Some gleam in soft porcelain white. Others wear freckles of red or petals of forgotten florals. Together, they form a porcelain meadow, blooming not with leaves, but with whimsy. To create your own patch of magic, start with what you already have. A chipped teacup from your grandmother's cabinet. A mismatched thrift store find. The kind of cup too worn for tea but too lovely to throw away. Choose stakes that blend gently into the landscape. Wooden dowels, bamboo rods, or even painted rebar. The height is up to you. Vary them for charm. Drive each stake gently into the earth, deep enough to stand through summer winds and garden rains. Now turn each teacup upside down and nest it onto its stake. If they wobble, use waterproof glue or epoxy to secure them. Some may tilt. Let them. The beauty lies in their oddness, their playfulness. A garden, after all, is not a grid, it's a song. You can paint the cups in cheerful mushroom hues. Red with white dots, yellow and cobalt, even pastel pinks and sky blues. Or leave them bare, letting their delicate prints whisper stories of tea times long past. Scatter them where your garden feels sleepy, beneath shrubs among marigolds beside a path. They'll surprise passersby, they'll draw smiles, and as sunlight bounces gently from their curved porcelain bellies, even bees will linger. These are not just decorations, they're gestures, tiny sculptures that turn salvage into story and old dishes into folklore. And as they gather dew in the morning, reflect twilight at dusk, and weather through seasons, they'll become part of the soil's own rhythm. In a world that moves too fast, a teacup toadstool asks nothing but pause and maybe imagination. And if one day, while you're weeding or watering, you catch yourself believing, just for a breath, that tiny fairies might sit beneath them, well, that's the garden's secret and yours to keep. In the hush between wind and birdsong, where shadows sway softly across garden paths, something else begins to dance. Not leaves, not petals, but bits of forgotten life reimagined. A spoon that once stirred soup, a soda tab long discarded, a broken earring, a key without a door, all now spinning, twinkling, chiming together. These are dancing scrap spirits, garden mobiles born not from craft stores, but from drawers of memory. There is a kind of joy in building one. You begin not with rules, but with curiosity. Open your junk drawer, shake out that tin of forgotten buttons, sort through old keys, single earrings, bits of ribbon, small toys, bits of wire. They don't match. Perfect. Choose a base, a piece of driftwood, a wire fruit basket, even a wooden embroidery hoop. Drill or tie small holes around its edge. Then start hanging your story. Use fishing line, twine, or even repurposed necklace chains. Let your pieces hang at different lengths, with space to move and speak. Each item catches the light differently. Some reflect, some shimmer, some clink gently like wind-made lullabies. Arrange by color, by texture, or by randomness. That's the beauty. You are not designing symmetry. You are composing motion. Position your mobile where wind can find it. Near your herbs, above a low fence, or from a tree branch that sings in the breeze. Every time it sways, it tells a new story. Every spin feels like laughter. Every jingle feels like the garden breathing. You can make a spinner too. Flatten soda cans and cut them into petals. Fold slightly, mount on a screw or stake, and let it twirl like a flower that never stops blooming. These Static sculptures pull you into their rhythm. Gentle, hypnotic, grounding. Children will love them. Neighbors will pause. You might even find yourself standing still, just watching. Not for answers, but for the quiet magic of motion made from what the world once left behind. Because in these spinning scraps, there's more than recycling. There's redemption, there's surprise, and there's a reminder that beauty isn't always planted. It's sometimes strung, scattered, and set spinning in the sky. Some stories aren't told, they're walked. And in a garden that hums with life, the path beneath your feet can be more than just a way through. It can be a storybook of fragments, textures, and gentle surprises. These are footprints of whimsy, stepping stones made from the broken, the joyful, the ordinary, and laid down with care and imagination. Start with a base, an old baking tray, a round cake tin, even a plastic plant saucer. These become your molds. Line them with a light coat of oil or plastic wrap to help release the stone later. Then mix a batch of quickset cement. Pour it in, smooth the surface, and pause, because now comes the part that makes it yours. Reach for the forgotten things. A chipped porcelain plate, loose marbles from a drawer, bottle caps with faded logos, buttons with lost companions. Press them gently into the soft cement. Create spirals, shapes, chaos, whatever your hands feel called to do. Or go natural. Place a fern frond or a large leaf on the wet cement and press it down gently. When removed, it leaves behind its elegant print, like a fossil made just for your garden. Let the stones cure, then remove them from their molds. If sharp edges appear, sand them smooth. Line them along your garden bed or scatter them like story markers across the lawn. Let grass peek between them. Let clover spill into their edges. Over time, moss may even move in, writing its own chapter. You can create one stone at a time or a whole path in a weekend. There's no right pattern. That's the charm. A trail of memory beneath your boots, made not of perfect shapes but of perfect meaning. These stepping stones do more than lead you somewhere. They slow you down. They invite your eyes downward. They ask your heart to notice the small and celebrate the once broken. Because every step in the garden is part of a bigger journey. Not just across soil, but across your own creativity. And the more you walk it, the more you remember, beauty doesn't follow a straight line. Sometimes it meanders with joy. Among the blooms and buzzing, where lavender hums and mint brushes your ankles, soft voices rise. Not from people, but from signs. Not store-bought plaques or factory labels, but handmade garden markers that whisper stories through rusted spoons, chipped saucers, and cutting boards from kitchens now quiet. These are the whimsy words in bloom, vintage garden signs that speak not only names, but nostalgia. Start with your pieces, the ones no longer used but too full of character to be forgotten. A cracked teacup saucer, a wooden breadboard faded from years of meals, forks and spoons that once stirred love into stew. These are your canvas. For saucers and tiles, snap them gently. Wrap them in a towel first, into shards just large enough to paint or write on. Using a ceramic marker or waterproof paint pen, hand letter your herb names. Sage, thyme, oregano, or go poetic, sunlight here or grow slow. Attach the shard to a wooden stake with strong glue, or drill a hole and string it with wire. For spoons and forks, press their stems gently into soft earth. If you want words, stamp them with metal punches or write them by hand. Let the old shine wear through. That's where their charm lives. Then there are cutting boards, wooden trays, or thrifted signs. Sand them lightly, paint with chalk or outdoor acrylics, then letter with your heart. Add a quote, a recipe from memory, or a name from your grandmother's garden. Hang them from fences, trellises, even old shovels planted upright. None of these need to match. None need to be perfect. In fact, the more mixed and weathered, the more they feel like they've grown there all along. Like the garden claimed them, not you. These signs don't just mark a space. They shape its feeling. They make a garden feel tended by hand, not only in soil, but in soul. They slow the eye, invite a smile, and remind everyone who passes. This place is made with love, so when you next see a single spoon or a chipped plate in a thrift bin, pick it up. It's not trash. It's a voice waiting to bloom in your garden. As daylight softens and the garden leans into quiet, a different kind of beauty begins to stir. One that doesn't bloom or grow, but glows. Among the leaves and blossoms, tiny lights flicker to life, warm, imperfect, soulful. And not one of them came from a store aisle labeled outdoor lighting. They came from shelves of forgotten things, from thrift stores, from kitchens, from memory. This is thrift garden lighting, a gentle celebration of what's already around you, waiting to shine again. Begin with the simplest jars. Mason jars, old sauce jars, even tinted glass bottles. Clean them, dry them, and fill them with fairy lights or solar tea candles. Set them along a pathway on a windowsill or hang them with wire under a tree. Each jar becomes a star caught in a bottle, lighting the ground like grounded constellations. Then consider the colander. Once it's strained pasta, now it spills light. Flip it upside down, thread fairy lights through the holes, and suspend it from a hook or a tree limb. As dusk settles, light leaks out like laughter, casting patterns that dance on soil and stone. Have a dusty chandelier tucked in the attic? Don't toss it, transform it. Remove the wiring, paint it in soft golds or chalky whites, and hang it outside. Place solar lights where bulbs once sat. Suddenly, a piece made for dining rooms becomes a moon for your garden. Or try the wire baskets you've forgotten in garage corners. Fill them with moss and soft light strands. Let ivy curl through the openings. Hang them low so they feel like garden lanterns whispered into being. What makes these lights different isn't their brightness, it's their soul. Each carries history. Each brings unexpected elegance to twilight. And because you made them with your hands, they hold something electric and tender all at once. So walk through your garden just as the day folds into dusk. Watch how light now lingers where it never did before. Feel how calm settles into the edges. And know you built this glow. From junk, from nothing, from love. Because in the fading light, what shines the most is what's been seen again with wonder. Jadi, kita telamenkapai akir dari perjalanan lembut kita. Dari kanker te yang diaba menjadi jammer. Hingga kursi yang terlahir kembali dengan bangga. Dari sendak yang kini bernyanyi didiap angin. Pada sermon yang menangkap lebih dari sekedar cahaya. Mereka menangkap cerita, mereka mencerminkan jiwa. Di sudut internet yang tenang ini. Anda telah berjalan bersama kami melewati benda-benda yang terlupakan. Ditemui kembali, dan Anda telah melihat, bahkan mungkin merasakan, bagaimana sampai bisa menjadi kesenangan. Betapa keindahan tidak hidup dalam kesempurnaan. Namun dalam tujuan yang telah diaba. Bukan pada apa yang kita beli, tapi dalam apa yang kita pilih untuk dilihat dengan mata yang lebih lembut. Teman ini tidak dibuat untuk menjengkelkan. Mereka dibuat untuk menginspirasi, untuk memperlambat hari, untuk membantu Anda bernapas, dan mungkin untuk menggandeng Anda kembali ke tanggaan Anda sendiri, untuk membangun sesuatu, untuk menjenggat sesuatu, untuk menanamkan sedikit rasa ingin tahu di mana Anda berada. Di sini, di TERAFLORA Studio, kami percaya bahwa setiap benda mempunyai kesempatan kedua, dan setiap penonton persikan imajinasi yang tenang. Jika video ini memberi Anda satu momen damai, jika itu membuatmu tersenyum, atau bermimpi, atau merasa tidak terlalu terburu-buru, kami dengan hangat menggandeng Anda untuk berlangganan. Bukan sekedar menjikuti, namun untuk bergabung dengan komunitas yang menghargai keindahan buatan tangan, kreativitas lambat, dan jenis DIY yang tumbuh dengan lembut, seperti teman. Terima kasih telah menghabiskan waktu ini bersama kami. Sampai kita bertemu lagi. Tetap baik hati, tetap penasaran, dan terus menemukan Shin Kiajaban D Tempat Yon Paling Tidak Terduga. Ini TERAFLORA Studio. Dan Kamu. Sahabaku. Selalu